Today, Unity walked backwards so quickly you'd think it was a collision error. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. Breaking news, Nintendo just announced a collaboration between LEGO and Animal Crossing.
Are they making Froggy Chair?
We have basically zero information about what this collaboration actually entails.
I said, are they making Froggy Chair?
We assume it's a LEGO set styled after Animal Crossing, but it could be a video game or even just an animation.
Froggy Chair or Riot?
What if it's a LEGO set that is only Froggy Chair?
That would be correct. In Nintendo news this week, President Shuntaro Furukawa reiterated that Nintendo will not be immediately shit-canning the Switch in July 2024 because, goddammit, did you not notice in the recent Direct that there are games still coming to the Switch in 2024? In fact, Furukawa said that, quote, "We are still working on software for the Switch for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025. Because, yes, of course you are. Several games in the recent Direct are coming out in the second half of 2024. And since the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025 would start on April 1st, 2024, that means that most of those games announced for the Switch are coming out on the Switch." This story can't even really be called a story, but I'm focusing on this because, man, do we need some better journalism to prevail here. Yes, we're all abuzz with the idea that Nintendo might blow our minds with its next-gen Switch 2 or Switch Pro or Switch Next, and that sources that are conveniently never named by anyone say that said Swext will appear in the second half of 2024, and that also we're already disappointed by this Switch Pro that we've never touched because it's only a hardware upgrade and not, say it with me, a free blowjob machine like you've been wishing for ever since you found the instructions unclear and got your dick stuck in the SNES expansion slot. Look, I don't think it should take a business degree to be able to understand how businesses work. Nintendo, and for that matter anyone, wouldn't stop a years-long game development process for a current console just because they decide internally, new console incoming. They are already working on the next-gen games. I'm sure there's a team at Nintendo right now that's been working on Mario Kart 9 for the last 5 years and plan to launch it with Switch TOO. And Nintendo has, multiple times, also told everyone that they'll be supporting the previous generation for some time after a next-gen console launches. They did it with the GBA, and the DS, and the 3DS, and the Wii U. There will be third-party Switch games launching in 2025 and 2026 because sometimes when you're far enough into development, you can't just turn the whole team around. But don't waste a question on a company president like, "Hey, if you launch a new system next year, will you still support the old one?" Ask stuff like, how far into the future do you pledge to support the current generation Switch? Which games are you currently developing in-house for this new system? Are you aware of the blue badge, red badge system at Nintendo of America? And do you think denying a class of workers reliable full-time employment is compatible with how you treat your employees in Japan? It's not a real interview until you get thrown off an earnings call.
Update on the Unity story. They've kinda walked back most of the horrible changes they made, but still leave a massive rift in their customers' trust. The new Unity runtime fee is still a thing, but it will no longer apply to personal level users, and those users will no longer be obliged to use the Made with Unity splash screen for their projects. For higher tier developers, Unity has raised the minimums you need to hit before incurring the runtime fee, made it only count going forward as opposed to retroactive, and developers can opt instead for a 2.5% share of revenue, whichever is lower, based on self-reported numbers. Additionally, the terms of the Unity version you're using, the terms you agreed to, won't change until you update your version, Also, the Unity terms and conditions are going back up on GitHub, so changes can continue to be tracked, and John Riccatello will personally send you a greeting card that says you're actually not a fuckhead, but I made that last one up. Unity's Mark Whitten apologized in a blog post laying out all these changes, saying they should have talked to more people and incorporated more feedback before rolling out the initial proposal. But, as a reminder, they didn't. Because they didn't care. Because they wanted money. Anything they say now is just ass covering in the face of tremendous backlash. Remember that. What they rolled out is what they wanted. And either they were too stupid to realize how people would react, or they did not care. As a company, they still don't, but they've figured it's going to be more feasible to get some money if they have any customers.
We've talked about the PlayDate on CheckPoint before. The tiny black and white darling cranked itself into our hearts early on, and it immediately sold out upon launch back in 2021. You can still pre-order the PlayDate with new units shipping in late 2023. And the PlayDate comes in any color you want, as long as it's yellow. Or is that still the case? On October the 4th, Panic co-founder Cable Sasser tooted a photo of his OK Cola jacket hung over a chair at what we'll assume is his desk. And his desk, well, it has a lot of neat gaming paraphernalia around it, but if we zoom and enhance Sector D7, we'll see these. Are those Playdates in green and black? And oh my god, play it loud, transparent? Is this a leak? Are we getting new Playdate options? And am I the only video game journalist adjacent person who noticed it because it went up on Mastodon? We gotta find out. When asked about the suspicious objects that were on his desk, Sasser replied that they were, quote, Cable's little collection of early test colors. Oh. Damn. I really thought I was gonna break some news and be a big boy journalist for once. Back to writing about Sonic's 30th anniversary, I guess.
Yes, hello, it's Spooky News Month, so who wants to hear a horror story? Great. Unfortunately, because this story is so horrible, you have just experienced the only joke I'm putting in this segment. Just over 3 years after initial reports revealed that Ubisoft's internal culture was a cesspit of sexual harassment, abuse, racism, and homophobia, news broke this week that 5 of the company's former executives were detained and questioned by the French police as part of a criminal investigation. Out of the 5 people arrested, we only know the identity of 2 of them, former VP Tommy Francois and former Chief Creative Officer Serge Hascoët. Hascoët resigned in 2020 alongside former Managing Director of Canadian Studios Yannis Mallet as part of a series of comprehensive initiatives that Ubisoft undertook in order to foster, quote, an environment that its employees, partners, and communities can be proud of, one that reflects Ubisoft's values and that is safe for everyone. Other resignations during that time period include the aforementioned Francois and Vice President of Editorial Maxime Balland, Assassin's Creed Valhalla Director Ashraf Ismail, PR Director Stone Chin, and former Ubisoft Global Head of HR Cecile Cornette. But any of those people could have been arrested. Not much is known about the police investigation or what charges, if any, have been laid out, but I believe I speak for everyone when I say I wish all former Ubisoft executives a very fuck you go to jail.
Hey, you lied. There were 2 jokes in that story.
And good job for spotting them. Have you filled out your bingo card?
Yes.
Oh, then that means you get a prize from the Brave Boy box.
Ooh, RX-78. Coming up, NetHack players! On October 13th, the Friday the 13th luck penalty will be negated by the new moon. But be careful, if a cockatrice uses its hissing attack and you have no lizard corpse, you will always start turning to stone. Start booting your PDP-11s now! I had a choice that either I could go with PDP-11s,
right,
or I could go with the VAX, because NetHack and Hack were like originally written for like those systems. So it's like I opted. The VAX is fine, but I never used one, but have a soft spot for PDP-11.
I don't know anything that you are saying.
I regret bringing it up.
I assume that story. What I'm taking away from this is that you're anti-vax. Is that what you're saying?
It's not fair.
Okay.
It's not fair.
Everything that was in that coming up, I believe is real, and I have I'm just like, yeah, all right, no lizard corpse. I guess I'm going to start turning to stone. Shit.
I can spray some light on this if you'd like, because it is interesting in its own way.
Is it?
Well, it is.
Okay.
So NetHack has, every Friday the 13th, you get a luck penalty. So if you launch the game on Friday the 13th, then as long as the game is running after that, it's like your character's base luck stat will take a -1.
Right.
And that's like, okay, that's just something they coded in to be fun.
That's
right?
a cute little thing, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently times of day and phases of the moon also have an effect as well. And so the game knows when all the different phases of the moon and stuff are. But Friday the 13th coinciding with a full moon or a new moon is very rare.
Right.
In fact, they have a table up on, if you go to the NetHack wiki, they have a table showing which Friday the 13ths line up with a full or new moon. And there's like only 20 of them in the last 20 years.
Wow.
Like this is an incredibly rare occurrence. And so the fact that there's a new moon coming means that it counteracts that penalty to your luck stat.
So does it mean that nothing is different?
No, because new moons and full moons also cause other things to happen. And one of the things that happens is that a cockatrice, this is basically an almost insta-kill attack.
Okay.
If you start turning to stone, that it could almost kill you. Right?
Okay.
Because like you have to be able to counteract that somehow. And I guess if you have a lizard corpse, you could counteract it. But if a cockatrice uses its hissing attack, it's a 1 in 10 chance that you would start turning to stone. But during a new moon, you always start turning to stone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just this incredible challenge run kind of mode. If you like to do it real hard, this is a way to do it. But
When we were getting the props together for the bingo cards,
yeah,
Beach found a bingo card online that we figured, like an actual bingo thing, that we figured was from Eve.
Yeah.
But we didn't know. But it
No.
mentioned a few. It mentioned like a Kestrel and a
and it said Ramjag Nerf.
Ramjag Nerf or something like that. And we were like, is this Eve? I don't know what this is. So Paul, do you have that page still? Paul Googled, was it Ramjag? Is that all you Googled?
Yeah, that's what I Googled.
And what the question was like, how do I stop getting killed by the Ramjag or something?
Yeah, what do I do against a Ramjag while flying an interceptor?
Great. And I'm like, okay, I kind of understand this question. I assume a Ramjag is like, it's either another enemy ship or a weapon that they fire out of the ship.
Sure, yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
Right. And this is very big, like how we sound to people who don't know how to play Magic the Gathering. What was the solution for how to survive the Ramjag?
One of the solutions that was proposed was Bifrost backpacks, a 50 millimeter Drek, or even a Gnosis works. If you single box an interceptor, make sure you receive them with a linked CN scram and the extra momentum from the links and maybe snakes. They should not be able to get to you. Or just get more range control ships if you accept Ramjags, Loki's, Rapier's, Hyena. We always have a hyena in Ford space.
Always have a hyena in
Forward space. That should be
That's
on a t-shirt.
PHORDE.
Even better. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, what was I don't even remember.
Feel free to translate that in the comments.
It was the, there we go. Yeah. The turbo encabulator is what that sounds like to me.
Yeah, it
the
really
original
does.
machine had a base plate of prefabulated amulite surrounded by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two main spurving bearings were in a direct line with the pentatramic fan.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, Eve Online.
That was how you would have made it, yeah. That's back in the day.
Back in my grandfather's day, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
These days the
Turbo Encabulators had a few enhancements since then.
the missile knows where it is because it knows where it isn't.
Sorry, there's another response here.
Oh, no.
I like the simplicity of this, which is just warp off and refinance the fight on a different grid.
That's a very Eve answer.
Refinance the fight?
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, Halo 7 refinance the fight. God.
Halo Finance reimagined. What is the thing? Combat
Evolved.
Combat Evolved.
Yeah,
So
Finance Evolved. Yeah. In video game news,
Yeah.
Larian shaved the pussy again.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have that. I mean, I made a joke, and it would be nice to use it. That Baldur's Gate 3 is known for its absolutely horrifying monsters, and His Majesty couldn't be an exception to the rule. So they turned him back to a Sphinx cat.
This one we can explain. There's a cat in Baldur's Gate 3, and it was appearing in the game as a Sphinx cat. The cat's name is His Majesty.
Yeah.
It was not intended, apparently, it was not intended to be a Sphinx. It was intended to be a ver fluffa boy. And they did a patch to fix it. And they're like, good news, everyone. We've returned His Majesty to...
He's no longer a lizard,
He is no longer a Sphinx cat. He has fur now, as he was always intended to be.
I'm going to get so much hate.
But of course, the response from the community was like, no!
We love our little oily boy.
Yeah.
Please give him back.
Yeah, we want him to leave his weird little butt stains all over our table. And so they were like, okay, fine, geez. And so in the latest patch, they've now rolled that back, and so now His Majesty is again a hairless Sphinx cat.
I can't wait for him to show up in the next D&D cartoon.
And also, like, apparently the part of the problem was that there are other Sphinx cats in the game already, and His Majesty looked like they all kind of looked the same.
Yeah, he looked too much like. It was mentioned specifically that he looked too much like another
Steel Claw.
Steel Claw. Sure, yeah.
Fair.
His Majesty now befits his name and nature, and then people were like, no. So they've now reshaved His Majesty.
Yeah.
And they've made Steel Claw and His Majesty have different color eyes so that you can tell them apart better, I guess.
And maybe like a different number of weird like lumps and wrinkles along its back.
That'd be good.
That might be a way to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Bifurcate his tail. That's how we'll tell. Give him two tails.
I should say the Ubisoft story, as the source for this is Libération, the French newspaper, and we've gone there before for Ubisoft stories. There is so little information there.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, look, French authorities can just arrest someone.
Yeah.
They can just arrest someone for no reason, air quotes, for 24 hours. They can just be like, you're under arrest. Come here,
with us.
24 hours, and then we'll release you if we...
Stop. French police.
Yeah, if we don't charge you for anything. So, these 5 people, all of whom were former Ubisoft, 2 of whom have been identified, were arrested and questioned, and that's all we know. That's the extent of it. And so it's like, boy, this is hardly a story.
But definitely seems like it's like you don't take a step like that unless you're like, boy, we got something we're trying to figure out.
Years later,
and rather than be like, hey, do you mind coming in and talking to us? Because they could try that tactic, I'm sure, and be like, do you mind coming in and talking to us while we're doing this investigation? They'd be like, yeah, I do. I'm not going to come in. It's like, cool. Well, then now you're under arrest. You're going to answer our questions.
Yeah.
You can do that.
I guess, is there a distinction between like arrested and brought in for questioning?
Well, because what we were seeing from the social media posts is that the 5 of these people were detained, and then what I saw on somewhere else was 5 people have been arrested, and I'm like, now this could be one of those I have lost this in translation, or somebody was maybe reading a little too much and like, oh, if you're detaining somebody, does that actually count as full-on arrest? But maybe that is kind of the same thing. It's like, no, you are being detained. Like you are coming with us, and it's like that seems so close to like being under arrest that I don't really know what the difference would be legally, but especially in France, right? Mm-hmm. So ask somebody who lives in France. Talk to the CheckPoint France people. Talk to our senior France correspondents.
Oh, I have bad news. I think that's us.
Oh shit.
The original article is just like taken into police custody. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's unclear. So.
We have so many terms for that in English that you start to wonder, it's like, are these the same thing from a legal aspect? Or is this like layperson writing to be like, well, it sounds exciting if I say arrested because it's practically the same thing. It's like, there's a legal threshold here. But anyway.
Hey, last thing. It's not video game related, though video games will be involved. Tune in to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun, because starting at time of airing tomorrow, Friday at noon Pacific time, we're starting our 20th anniversary subathon. It's a capped subathon. We got 7 days of stuff planned. There's an update available on the Loading Ready Run main channel where we go through the entire schedule that we have planned out. But it's going to be a week of video games and tabletop games and
Building Lego
and hanging out and doing jokes and watching videos and stuff.
DIY.
Yeah, you're going to want to tune in and check that out. Beach is installing a washlet.
I can't wait. I've been waiting on this for months.
I too am excited.
Just been sitting on it.
No, you have. That's
I haven't
the
been
problem.
sitting on it for 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, tune in for that. Twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun. Which, by the way, means, and I know that we were off for a while. That means there won't be a checkpoint next week. We had intended for there to be a checkpoint last week, but that didn't end up happening. But there won't be one next week because of the subathon. But we'll be back after that. So, yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Sorry. That's my fault. I'm so sorry.